should be naked.
Hello and welcome back to another Thoughts Per Episode Doctor Who edition. Last week we left off with a very scary and serious cliffhanger which was resolved with a very well thought out and in-depth.
Deadly to humans, maybe.
I feel like this is meant to be because he has two hearts, but it's never explicitly mentioned. And also, he then sticks it on one of a Slitheen, which makes it conveniently affect all Slitheen. And again, I don't believe that they explain that either, but probably because there's some kind of link between all of them. All this to say, cliffhangers, I feel like most of the time are fairly artificial and are never really solved in any meaningful or interesting way. And if that ever changes, if I do come across an interesting cliffhanger resolution, I will be sure to bring it up. Anyway, last week I talked a lot about tone. Well, I actually never said the word tone, but I was talking a lot about tone, about how this is a first contact story, but it's kind of goofy and stupid, and the fart humour is a little bit over the top, and obviously that continues into this episode, but I feel like this episode is more unabashedly a comedy than the previous episode, because it has less of the Rose family drama stuff in it. Like, that's still there, it's fairly prevalent throughout the main crisis at the climax of the episode, and at the very end of the episode as well, but I don't know, something about the way this episode is weighted. There's more jokes, there's more comedic timing, there's a moment when the Doctor's in an elevator and he opens it and he sees Rose and Harriet Jones in trouble, and of course in a serious situation he'd be like, oh no, they're in trouble. But in this situation, he just makes a joke and steps back and sees the elevator.
I think they're all dead.
That's what I'm saying. He did it! That man there!
I think you'll find the Prime Minister is an alien in disguise. That's never going to work, is it?
No.
Fair enough. Yes, you see, the thing is, if I was you, if I was going to execute someone by backing him against the wall, between you and me, little word of advice, don't stand him against the lip.
See, more jokes, more Ninth Doctor being a cheeky little gremlin man. It's a shame the Ninth Doctor doesn't get more of an opportunity to have comedic moments like this, because as adept as Christopher Eccleston is at portraying a, post-war Doctor who has, slightly more brutality in his heart, a slightly different set of ideals than we're used to, he's also really fucking good at comedic timing. And in fact, I would say that the seriousness of the Ninth Doctor probably adds to his ability to be comedic, because it's always just a joy to see him smiling and having a laugh. As much as I detest the Slitheen, I'm sure I'll miss this episode when we're deep into the emotional distress that comes with the next one.
I need to be naked.
Rejoice in it. Your body is magnificent.
Then again, maybe not.
You saved my life. God, that's embarrassing.
Telling me?
Part of this episode focuses on mending the damaged relationship between Jackie and Mickey by throwing them into a near-death situation, which is going to work wonders for any relationship if cinema has taught me anything. One thing I like about the particular scene in which he saves Jackie is that the Slitheen is in the middle of being electrocuted, so it's already stunned in place and unable to do anything, and Mickey Smith just barges in with a chair and smacks it over the Slitheen's head, and then Jackie's like, oh my god, you saved me. No, that was completely unnecessary. In fact, Mickey Smith makes quite an unlikely hero in this episode, because he becomes a hacker god with a simple password and some instructions from the Doctor. Now, one of the most egregious episodes in Doctor Who for hacking is an 11th Doctor episode, the one where he meets Clara, the Bells of St. John? And in an episode, I cringe a lot because, hacking is this magical thing that can do anything, and the Doctor is super smart and knows how to hack. And anyway, we'll get to that episode when we get to it. But one thing I didn't count was that hacking has always been portrayed stupidly in this show, because Mickey Smith is able to hack into government security systems and Navy missile operations, or whatever they're called, with a simple password.
It says password.
Say again.
It's asking for the password.
Buffalo, 2 Fs, 1 L.
So what's that website?
All the secret information known to mankind.
And it's hidden behind the password Buffalo.
Password again.
Just repeat it every time.
Multi-layered security, but every single layer of security is just the password Buffalo.
Use the Buffalo password, it overrides everything.
What are you doing?
Hacking into the Royal Navy. We're in.
I'm in.
Counter defense 556.
Stop them intercepting it.
I'm doing it now.
Good boy.
556 neutralized.
Now, it's never mentioned how Mickey neutralizes this counter-missile, but I'm assuming he's just typing Buffalo over and over and over again until it works. Mickey the Idiot, greatest hacker alive. Now, one thing with RTD Era Who is while a lot of side characters do end up dying, sometimes the Doctor will stop and ask about them, and there's a couple of times as well when he asks for their names.
What was his name?
Who?
This one, the secretary or whatever he was called.
I don't know. I talked to him. I bought him a cup of coffee. I never asked his name.
Sorry.
There's a much more prominent example of this in the episode Midnight, but I really like how the loss of human life is never something, or it should never be something in a show which is overlooked or forgotten about. It reminds me of the end of The Unquiet Dead from a couple of weeks ago, where Rose is talking about how Gwyneth saved the world, but nobody even knew that she existed, really. There's this returning theme throughout this series of ordinary people who are never remembered by history, who make great sacrifices. I love this idea that history as we know it is only ever like one version of events. It's only ever one canon of times past. Like, there are so many amazing things which happen which have never been recorded and have never been seen fit to be recorded. And part of time travel is witnessing the tragedy of the passing of those who give their lives. Like, I wouldn't say the secretary is particularly super heroic. He just happened to get caught out by the Slovene here, but you know, his death is still a tragic one, and it's never going to be marked down in any history book. So it's nice that they took a minute for him here. One of the bigger things this episode does for the overarching story in general is Jackie's concern for her daughter Rose, and you know, discovering the truth about the Doctor and that he's an alien and that, you know, he brings danger with him wherever he goes, kind of thing. And her conflict with the Doctor because she's worried for her daughter's life.
Because I've seen this life of yours, Doctor. And maybe you get off on it. And maybe you think it's all clever and smart, but you tell me. Just answer me this. Is my daughter safe?
I'm fine.
Is she safe? Will she always be safe? Can you promise me that?
And what I love about this scene is that the Doctor does nothing. He doesn't reply to Jackie. He just shares a look with Rose, as if to say, well, you know, that's, you know, you won't be safe. But he's a flawed character. He doesn't want to speak up and say no. He doesn't want to tell the truth because he's worried about losing Rose.
You just get out of here.
There's a way out.
What?
There's always been a way out.
Then why do we use it?
Because I can't guarantee your daughter will be safe.
Don't you dare. Whatever it is, don't you dare.
That's the thing. If I don't dare, everyone dies.
Do it.
You don't even know what it is. You just let me.
Yeah.
Please, Doctor. Please. She's my daughter. She's just a kid.
Do you think I don't know that? Because this is my life, Jackie. It's not fun, it's not smart, it's just standing up and making a decision. Because nobody else will.
Then what are you waiting for?
I could save the world but lose you.
I love the scene so much because it lays everything out. The Doctor's codependency on Rose, Rose's willingness to just like jump into danger no matter what, even now, like 5 episodes in. Jackie's horror at this relationship and how much it endangers her daughter. The Doctor's like selfishness in also knowing that it endangers Rose, but you know, needing someone to travel with him, like needing a companion, but also being a little bit stunned at Rose's willingness to jump into danger, like being a little bit like afraid of like what he's turning her into. And also Jackie finally kind of getting some measure of what the Doctor's life is like, and that he's not just the one bringing the danger, he's the one standing up to it.
But you destroy the planet, this beautiful place. What for?
Profit. That's what the signal is, beaming into space, an advert.
Sale of the century. We reduce the Earth to molten slag, then sell it. Piece by piece. Radioactive chunks, capable of powering every cut-price Starliner and budget cargo ship. There's a recession out there, Doctor. People are buying cheap. This rock becomes raw fuel.
At the cost of 5 billion lives.
Bargain.
So it turns out that the Slovene are just alien capitalists, but there's a flaw in their plan. If they could turn the Earth into molten slag, blow it up, and sell off the radioactive chunks, why does it have to be the Earth? Why couldn't it be any planet? Furthermore, I don't think the Slitheen really work very well as this dressing down of capitalism as an antagonistic force, which it is, if anyone's wondering how I feel about capitalism, because they are mostly portrayed as goofballs and as comedic villains, and I get that they're also supposed to, like, have this callous disregard for life, and their comedic nature is part of that, but also, I don't know, I don't think the Slitheen are it, man. Obviously I have a lot of issues with the Slitheen, but I do genuinely love the delivery of this.
Look at that! The telephone is actually red.
See, this is good. This is, like, you know, pointing at something that we take seriously and laughing at it as being melodramatic and stuff. But then it's immediately followed by... And just like that, you've lost me. By the way, I love how the Doctor's grand plan for stopping the Slitheen is just to get Mickey to hack into the Navy and fire a missile on Downing Street, and that's just a plausible plan. That's just how we get rid of the Slitheen. Like, we cooked up this really interesting chemical concoction earlier to save Jackie and Mickey when the stunned Slitheen, you know, unstunned and went chasing after them, and over the phone they had to figure out, oh, you know, where's they come from, what are they made of, oh, just throw vinegar at them and they'll fucking explode, apparently. That was a fun solution. The solution we get afterwards is, hey, wasn't I a mad lad for blowing up a building in the middle of London? What if I fucking did it again? Anyway, the end of the episode is sad because, you know how I was talking about how the Doctor is flawed regarding his relationship with Rose? I also think Rose is flawed in this episode for kind of like rushing off to run away with the Doctor again, even though Jackie Tyler is making a concerted effort to actually accept this and invite him over for dinner and sit down and talk to him and get to know him, and the Doctor's only excuse is, I don't do that. And it makes sense for the character, of course. But obviously the way that shakes out for Jackie Tyler is more hurt feelings, and it's just not cool.
Rose, I was thinking. I've got that bottle of amaretto from New Year's Eve. Does he drink? I was wondering whether he drinks or not.
Yeah, he does.
Don't go, sweetheart. Please don't go.
You get the sense from this scene that the reason the Doctor says he doesn't do that kind of thing is because it would create this entanglement within the normal, ordinary life of Rose Tyler, and that's something that him and Rose are trying to escape from. And meanwhile, you've got Jackie Tyler who's trying to make this situation more ordinary, more terrestrial, by inviting him over for some shepherd's pie and some amaretto and getting to know him better. And Rose Tyler sees the two pathways and makes a decision, the same decision she made at the end of episode 1. And much like the decision she made at the end of episode 1, it ends up wounding the people close to her. She hasn't grown as a character in this way. She is repeating mistakes of the past. And to be honest, if I think about it, throughout all of Rose's story, I don't think she ever gets to a place in her life where she sees value in her quote-unquote ordinary life. Like, you know, she includes her family in her extraterrestrial life, her journeys with the Doctor at times, but one of the big devastating tragedies at the end of her tenure on the show is that she's been cut off from the Doctor and can no longer go on these fun, you know, love interests aside, she can no longer go on these crazy adventures anymore, and she has to settle back into an ordinary life. And it's a shame that never gets resolved, really. Like, Rose literally tells her mum,
It's a time machine. I could go travelling around suns and planets and all the way out to the edge of the universe. And by the time I get back, 10 seconds would have passed.
And so her mum waits 10 seconds and the TARDIS does not reappear, literally repeating what happened at the end of episode 1. Like, obviously they do not, like, leave for a year this time, but it's more of an absent-mindedness than anything that is keeping them apart. Just for the record, though, before I get away from this particular topic of Rose as a flawed character and her quote-unquote abandoning her mother and her mother's feelings and everything, I'm not saying that children should be beholden to their parents' wishes at all. I'm just saying that it's a shame to see the kind of divide between, you know, the mother's wishes and the daughter's wishes and how that shakes out and how it ends up hurting Jackie Tyler's feelings. And I'm not like saying Rose Tyler is a terrible person for wanting to like leave home and do her own thing and go adventuring in time and space. I think maybe, you know, the method with which she goes about it is slightly flawed. The kind of like almost running away instead of actually having that conversation of this is what I do, I go and travel, and if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but like, you know, it could have been handled a little bit more smoothly. But yeah, just in case anyone was getting the wrong impression, I'm not saying like kids should do what their parents want them to do so they don't hurt their parents' feelings. That is not what I am trying to put across. Now, one character that actually does develop and grow, I guess, a little bit, is the Ninth Doctor and his relationship with Mickey. Now that Mickey has successfully hacked the planet, the Doctor now considers him worthy of, I don't know, treating like a human being.
Present for you, Mickey. That's a virus. Put it online. It'll destroy every mention of me. I'll cease to exist.
What do you want to do that for?
Because you're right. I am dangerous. I don't want anybody following me.
How can you say that and then take her with you?
You could look after her. Come with us.
I can't. This life of yours, it's just too much. I couldn't do it. Don't tell her I said that.
And the Doctor actually helps him out by pretending that the reason that Mickey's not joining them this time when Rose offers the invitation is that he doesn't want Mickey on board. He's a reliability, potentially endangering his friendship with Rose and how Rose sees him for the sake of Mickey. So yeah, that was the two-part of that is Aliens of London and World War III, this weird kind of comedic, kind of family drama, kind of dealing with larger story arcs, kind of being its own thing, kind of alien invasion, first contact, kind of lots of fart jokes, mess. And now we get to move on to greater things. If you like this video, do leave it a like. I always forget to ask, but it does help immensely. And hey, maybe subscribe for more weekly episodes.
10 seconds.